This is Chuck Helander, and I'm in the process of digitizing old home movies made by my dad, Orville Helander, and myself. The purpose is to put these on Facebook so that anyone in the family can sort of see the movies, which are difficult to project right now. I've edited them a bit and tried to organize them into some sort of order. I do have the advantage of the notes that Dad left when he organized these movies. Originally, they were 50-foot reels of 8 millimeter film, and at some point in the late 70s, he organized, got together, and edited a lot of these movies together. So what we're looking at is a 400-foot reel of 8 millimeter film. Starting off with Thanksgiving in Waukegan, Illinois in 1959. That's A.T. and Stan, Shelba. That's Ted Larson, Lima Larson, Mom, Helen in the background, setting the table for Thanksgiving dinner, 1959. These are great shots because there's BB, our beagle, who moved with us from Waukegan to Lake Forest, and at one point decided she'd run home to Waukegan. Griff just came from a concert at school. He played the cornet, and so he's still got his band uniform on there. Ed and Millie. Millie just come from that concert. Anyway, these are great shots because there's not much other footage of the inside of the Waukegan house, the old farmhouse in Waukegan. So here we get to see the living room and inside the kitchen now. Mom basting the turkey and A.T. at the doorway there. Millie talking with Lima and Aunt Helen. Everyone was involved in the kitchen. And now we've got the table all set. There's Doris and Ed, Stan and Shelba. A.T.'s at the end. Lima, Lil Loftus, Lyle Loftus, and Ted Larson. I don't remember when A.T.'s birthday was, but this was a cake, and it looks like it might be a birthday cake. So let's assume it is. You get to combine a birthday celebration with Thanksgiving. When this movie was made, the folks were in the process of building a new house in Lake Forest, Illinois, and Ed and Doris were thinking about building a new house in Waukegan, not far from this property. Nice picture of the kitchen again, looking out the north windows, and a portrait done by Charles Overall of me. I think this is called a vibraharp xylophone. Portrait of Cliff done by Mr. Overall. And the painting of the Finnish sailing ship, the Parma, which Dad also had a wooden model of. Switching scenes now, we're going to take a drive up the old driveway off of McAree Road. I think the address was 1224 McAree Road, if I remember correctly. It was called the Windy Hill, and this is where the family property was. 10 acres. Um, Unfortunately, the city was sprawling, and there was going to be a big subdivision built just to the north of this property. And what had been nice open lands was going to become a bunch of houses there for new people to live in. Coming up the driveway, we have the grape orchard to the right. You can't see it, and going past the apple trees on the left. The big yard there to the left was also one that we mowed with our Trams sit-down mower, and it was a big deal when you got old enough to run that Trams. A screened-in porch there they added, and of course the highlight of the property was the clubhouse that Cliff and Griff and I built. It was our last clubhouse. It was probably about the sixth in a row we had built out of used lumber. This one the folks actually bought new lumber for. This is an old shed that we used for different things. At one point, we had a burro that lived in there, but he was long gone by the time these movies were made. That was the garage apartment that Ed and Doris were living at the time, and the view looking west of the property, and now looking southwest, and now looking straight south. It was a view that folks really liked. Here's the farmhouse itself. My bedroom was right above the door there in that little bumped out area in the roof. That was my bedroom. This was the view that the folks really loved. As a matter of fact, they hired somebody to do a painting of this particular view. And as it will happen, when the painting arrived, it wasn't exactly what they wanted, but they did keep this nice watercolor. Looking south again, and we're panning around to the next door neighbor to the south, the Tennysons, who had a operation that kept thoroughbred horses. This is the old Purple Martin house that went up every spring for new tenants. At the end of the season, we lowered it down. That thing just kind of swung down on a pivot at the base, and we clean out the house and put it back up in the springtime for new martins to find a home. Looking down towards McAree Road from the house. And here's Ma and Doris, and I think maybe Shalba. Somebody sitting around on the lawn there, and their dog Tizzy. And Cliff playing baseball. The tennis ball bouncing off against the shed, doing some nice fielding. Cliff and I used to play baseball there. One of us would bat, the other would pitch, and I know I threw my arm out for the rest of my life throwing that tennis ball up against that wall, trying to get Cliff to swing and miss. Panorama of the view from the property, again looking south. The house itself. The folks sold this property in the mid-60s. It was later developed as a large apartment complex. Now we're going to Lake Forest. This is spring of 1960. The houses, we're in that new house. Mumu, my grandmother's there, taking pictures of the backyard, and the family cat Buddy, who would travel with my folks everywhere, exploring a pile of firewood along the side of the house. I borrowed the camera from Dad at this point to try to catch some artistic pictures of a cat exploring wood. And here's Dad going to get set to enjoy a nice relaxing afternoon reading on his new patio, new house in Lake Forest. 617 Greenbriar. Nice view to the south. That would soon disappear. We'll see a little later in the movie. And Mumu is cleaning up, arranging furniture, watching Buddy. Here we are. It's Christmas, I believe, of 1960, We are in the house. Buddy and our new collie, Gypsy, are playing. Christmas tree, Ma, me in a robe. We've already opened up presents, I think, because there's the trash can with a bunch of wrap. Gypsy got a new leather toy for Christmas. And Cliff tosses it for her to chase. She learned how to chase that ball or whatever was being tossed to her. A little Christmas morning breakfast. And Gypsy and Buddy. Dad reading the paper. Ma relaxing after breakfast. Later that day, we went to Ed and Doris's for Christmas dinner. First Christmas dinner in their new house. There was Helen there, and Doris whipping up some potatoes, and Helen's meantime working on preparing a nice appetizer dish with some olives and celery and stuff like that. There was always help in the kitchen. And the boys, we retired to one of the bedrooms to play a game of Risk. Me, Griff, Stan had broken away from Shelba and came to play with the boys, and Cliff. We always had our Risk game wherever we went. It's a family gathering. We'd find a place to put out the board and play a game of Risk. Millie and Ted Larson and Mom. Shelba. Ed. Ed carrying a new potted plant to the front door of the house. It's a really nice house, very modern house. I always liked it. And we were a real family-oriented group. We'd always have major holidays at someone's house, and it was a gathering for everybody to take part in. And the layout for Christmas dinner. Now it's spring of 1961. Dad's notes aren't quite correct. I figured that out. But Dad came along. I brought some of my model airplanes out to the parking lot behind Deer Path School to fly them. They were what we called U-control planes. They were on the end of a wire, and you had a handle that held onto them, and they fly circles around you. And occasionally I tried to do a stunt with them, do a loop or something like that, and that's what I tried today, and the results were somewhat tragic. Crash. Oh well, it was fun while it lasted, and I was actually able to put that one back together later on. I brought a whole fleet of planes that day to fly. Um, this is a tri-motor Italian World War II bomber that I designed and built, and was really, I'm always proud of this one. This was sort of the apex of my model building career. It wasn't from a kit. It was entirely scratch built. I drew the plans and everything. And of course, on this occasion, the engine wouldn't start. That often happened. We're now spring of 1961, and the backyard of the folks' new house is being encroached on by a new house being built by a family called the Goldners, just south of them. And this is a group of neighbors looking at the foundation excavation on a Sunday afternoon. and Gypsy's there greeting everyone. Mother's Day 1961. Millie and Griff are helping to fix up A.T.'s hair while she opens presents. And a new arrival, Keith Caskey, was born. He's probably, I don't know, 7 or 8 months old, maybe 9 months old in this picture. I forget when his birthday was, but he's still in a crib, but he's up and standing and taking part in the family gathering. And now we go up to Brantwood, Wisconsin, where, of course, this is Aunt Mary's house in Brantwood. Mary was Alec Caskey's sister, and there's A.T. and Mary. And that day, we went to a lake in around Brantwood. I think it was called Silver Lake, if my dad's notes are correct. And we did some swimming, and it was cold water. Had a picnic, though, with the family. And then later on, Cliff and I went down to try skipping some rocks. We both found likely skipping rocks. Cliff's was wonderful. I think he skipped 4 or 5 times. I'm going to show him how to do it. Sploosh! Told you my arm was thrown out. Now we're back to Lake Forest, 617 Greenbriar. Behind Cliff is our old black Buick LeSabre, 1960, the car I learned how to drive in, and later on it was left for Mom at house, and most of the time I had it to drive to school, Cliff and I to school with in the morning, and then bring us back home after high school. Cliff practicing his golf. Some chipping shots here. And now he's going to pretend to hit a drive off the tee. And Dad had just gotten a new camera. He said, wait a second, Cliff, try that again. I'll do it in slow motion so you can analyze your swing, just like the pros.